This is Tom Schreiber, and you're listening to Pro Lacrosse Talk.
Right off the bat, there's Lyle Thompson.
Courier, ballgame.
Carly Ohlmiller showing off those shifty skills.
Schreiber driving hard down the alley, and he scores.
What a goal from Josh Bird. Kayla Trainer fires to score.
Are you kidding me?
By Dylan Warren.
Gets topside wrap. Oh, scores!
Welcome to Pro Lacrosse Talk on the Lacrosse Playground Podcast Network, your go-to podcast for interviews with professional players, coaches, and executives, as well as the latest news and analysis from all three professional lacrosse leagues. Now, here are your hosts, Adam Moore and Hutton Jackson.
Welcome to another episode of Pro Lacrosse Talk. Today we are joined once again by Tom Schreiber, the first guest to make 3 appearances on the podcast, 1 in each season. Tom, a member of the Archers Lacrosse Club in the PLL and the Toronto Rock in the NLL, needs no introduction, and we are happy to have him on once again. Tom, how's it going today?
It's going well. You know what? I forgot that I'm the first 3-timer here, so I'm honored. I truly am. And I'm pumped to be back. Hopefully we still have stuff to talk about.
No, I think we have a lot to talk about since we last talked. Last spring, I believe. And then prior to that, you were one of our first guests. So again, happy to have you back on. First off, how's the offseason kind of been going for you?
It's been going great. It's a unique one, obviously, right? I'm used to playing lacrosse 11 months out of the year. And, with the world we live in today, it hasn't been possible. So it's, that part of it's been tough, but I've tried to kind of see the positives of it. I think the way I look at it, it's kind of like a mid-career, a little break. And, I'm sure my body will be thankful for it, over the next few years. So have tried to use that as a positive and get my body in a good spot. So I'm not, just kind of constantly rehabbing and whatnot. So I feel pretty fresh, definitely ready to play some lacrosse. That's for sure. And it's been exciting, right? A lot of changes, especially on the PLL side with a lot of new faces around. So it's been great. And, I think we're 2 months out from the start of the season, so can't come soon enough, but it's been a nice little break mid-career.
That's awesome. Yeah. And we were talking right before the pod about you just made the move, right? And we heard that you're now neighbors with your Archers teammate, Mac McMahon, right?
I am. Yeah. So we're about a block and a half away from one another. So I think that'll be great, for a lot of reasons. I think just having someone around to train with, and obviously Matt and I are good friends. The one gripe I have thus far, already, it's kind of made like a little bit of an empty offer to help move. I kind of think like he knew I was going to say no and had no intentions of helping out. So wanted to make that public, wanted people to know that Matt made an empty offer and hasn't helped with a damn thing.
Got to step it up. That's not going to throw a wrench into our idea to do a diner-based show with you two, is it? I mean, I was thinking about we could even call it Diners, Dodgers, and Dives. Maybe a little too on the nose for the Guy Fieri crowd. I don't know. Is that going to be a problem now that Matt hasn't helped you move? No,
it won't be an issue. It would only add to the banter. But yeah, no hard feelings to Matt. But that all sounds wonderful. I'm like a card carrying diner guy for sure. Matt is the same. So. I'd be thrilled with that sort of arrangement. We'll have to workshop the name a little bit, and figure something
well, definitely.
out.
I don't want to get into any legal trouble. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want Guy Fieri's guys coming after us.
No,
perfect.
Definitely. There's a lot of, I know there's like a Fieri con too. So there's a lot of impersonators out there that probably wouldn't be too happy as well. So we'll avoid that name and think of something else. But let's get into the big news. I know that you teased an announcement on Wednesday. I know this is probably the main reason why we wanted to have you on the podcast, but you are going to announce now that you're an Epoch athlete. You're signed with Epoch. Talk about the move to becoming an Epoch athlete.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting. It's like, it makes sense for a lot of different reasons. I think, I'd like to lead with like just being thankful for New Balance and Warrior. I've been with them since I graduated from school, and in so many ways, like lacrosse is unique in that, you kind of rely on, your partners and your sponsors to allow yourself to like train full time and, be, a real full-time lacrosse player. And without those guys, like that is not possible for me. And I don't know what I would be doing. So eternally grateful for those guys and how they've treated me. And I think this is just kind of, the next chapter. One of the things that the pandemic has kind of offered is like a lot of insight, a lot of time to kind of plan out what you're doing. And, the timing felt right. And, in talking with James and the rest of the team at Epoch, there are so many things that they have going on that I think are super interesting. I think that their approach technology wise is really interesting and really cool, and something that I've been kind of fascinated over the last couple weeks and talking with James and the rest of the crew. But at the end of the day, I think like our interests are very much aligned with the PLL, and them being such a big partner with the PLL, and so much of my life on and off the field being devoted to the PLL and box lacrosse too, right? I think that's something that Epoch is really focused on, and is really focusing on continuing to support in the future, both on the youth side and in the NLL. So as I kind of plan out my next few years, the back half of my playing career and beyond, I think those will be two pretty big constants, the PLL and box lacrosse, and growing it in the US. And I think having a partner that are very much aligned, and have the group of people that are running the show over there, James and the rest of the team, I think it makes perfect sense, and something that I'm super excited about.
We're certainly excited too, and we'll get a little bit into what you're thinking about rocking in terms of stick, shaft, and stringing a little bit later. But talk to us a little bit about this off season. You mentioned a little bit how you've kind of had a little bit more time with the NLL layover, but how have you kind of approached it differently since you maybe can't go to a gym as much, or you're not playing as frequently as you have in the past?
I'd say it's a few things. So the one thing I really wanted to do was, like I mentioned before, just kind of get my body to a place where I can train, full time, versus just, kind of help, alleviate some nagging injuries and whatnot. I've had like a pretty tough couple of years with that stuff. I had a knee surgery, I had a shoulder injury. So, those things are always kind of hanging around. So this past year has really given me an opportunity to address those things and get back to, get back to normal, and then be able to kind of hit the ground running training wise. So, that stuff I think takes a little patience, right? You don't want to peak too early with some of that stuff. And have been focusing a lot on mobility. And then, these next, 8 weeks, whatever we got before camp, like I think we'll kind of ramp up the running and conditioning and continue to do all the weightlifting and all that stuff. But one of the biggest things for me is just keeping the stick in my hand, and whether that's in a game or just at home on a wall, if I'm coaching, if I'm getting together with a few teammates, that's kind of like a non-negotiable for me. So I don't think there's been many days throughout the pandemic where the stick hasn't been in my hand, which I know is important for me personally. I know guys have different approaches there. I love it. I don't think I've ever had a bad time playing lacrosse, whether again, if it's on the wall or I'm coaching some kids or I'm playing with my teammates. So that part, I'm super lucky. I love doing it. And I think it's a combination of a lot of things. And, once again, this pandemic has given me and so many other people an opportunity to like really refine, what works and what's kind of best, for each person's needs. So I'm in a pretty good spot. Definitely ready to like leave training mode and start playing. But trying to stay patient. So a couple more weeks and we'll be there.
Yeah, I think we're all excited to see you guys hit the field again. And, we haven't really chatted since kind of this whole off season happened and the news about the merger. So we wanted to hear kind of what were your first thoughts when you heard about the news and all this kind of really great talent coming over, including some of your new teammates, right, from the MLL?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's great for the game. I think, I speak for a lot of players, and that like, we're thrilled, right? I think like they're on both sides, right? I think it's great to be unified. I think it's great that the sport is unified going forward at the professional level. I think one of the like under the radar, really cool things about the merger is being able to, show some respect and highlight those guys who have been doing it the last 20 years. Everybody is respectful of those guys who have kind of laid the groundwork for us to get here. So I'm really excited to see the kind of PLL, media engine, like be able to, talk about those guys, tell those stories. I think that'll be great. And, as players, like we were watching MLL, they were watching us, like those are all our friends, like I think you kind of look at, if you look just like on social media or something, you see the two really butt heads, but like in terms of the players and, those are still our guys, and those are still guys that we liked watching. And I know it was kind of the same way back the other way. So I think it's awesome. I think there's a ton of talent coming in, and we're already seeing that. It's been fun, kind of just as a lacrosse fan, let alone like a player on the Archers, to see where all these guys landed and, how they'll impact each team. And, I think it's going to be really, really competitive, getting these rosters down to a game day roster and seeing how that shakes out. It's, that combined with the college draft too. Those, as you guys know, is a loaded draft class coming in. So I think you're taking a already very competitive league, injecting a ton more talent, one more team, but I think the level of play is going to continue to rise. And I think it's going to be that much more exciting. And, I think getting back in front of some fans this summer, combined with all that, it's going to, in the 3 short years, I think it's going to be our best summer. I think every year there's been, kind of a slow build, but I think this one is going to, continue that trend, and it's going to be a blast.
No, for sure. And you mentioned too, the players coming over. You guys added a few to your team in Connor Fields via trade. You also added Hossack and Jeffrey on the defensive side, Ryan McNamara at the midfield in this entry draft. And you just picked up Latrell Harris, Nate Solomon, and Nick Washuta in the waiver wire as well. So, a lot of talent on that. Talk a little bit about any of those guys, particularly maybe Connor Fields, who you'll be, playing with on offense, and their additions to this team.
No, for sure. It's been a busy offseason for every team. I think we've made a lot of moves, all really exciting ones. I think Connor Fields is, one of the best in the business. He's an excellent player. He can do it all. He can get to the net. He wins his matchups. He can score. He can play off ball. And, I actually, I never played with him prior to this summer. And our paths really haven't crossed all that much, but he's somebody that I've admired from afar, in both the field and the box game, and, watched him back at Albany, and, think the world of him. And obviously a unique situation for him last summer, but I think if that doesn't happen, we maybe don't get a shot at him. So, I'm kind of thankful that, that came together, and I'm, super excited to play with him. I think he brings so much to the table, and will add, some cool stuff to our offense. And then, with the entry drafts, I think, coach pretty vocal about wanting to get like a little more physical, a little bigger and stronger. And I think adding Graeme and Warren, certainly helps that. I think both of those guys are monsters. I've played against Graeme a ton in the NLL and the World Games, things like that. And, he's as advertised. I think you see anybody who's pretty informed and educated on lacrosse, and, I think he's pretty synonymous with excellence all around. And I think adding a guy like that will be really exciting. And, Warren is somebody I haven't played against just yet, but I know he's similar, right? I think, I remember reading some sort of NLL draft, preview or something, and they mentioned Graeme. They're like, he's a Graeme Hossack type, big bruising lefty, tough, brings you a little edge to your team. And, I think anytime you're adding those sort of characteristics to your team, particularly on defense, I think it's a good thing. So super excited about both of those guys. McNamara used to kill us in Ohio every game. Like he was like, so adding a guy like that, anytime like you're playing against somebody who kind of crushes you, it's always a good thing. He has a lot of range. He can get to the goal. He's versatile. I'd imagine, him being right-handed, I'll spend, plenty of time with him working together and stuff. So excited about him. And then, the couple, pickups over the last few days, Latrell Harris is a teammate of mine in Toronto, and such a cool story. I'm sure you guys have talked about him before, but, Latrell was a senior in high school playing for the Toronto Rock at 18 years old, which is so cool. And, here we are a few years later, and he's still so young, and he's still, he's a beast. He's fast. I'm excited for the field lacrosse world to get a taste of, what Latrell brings to the table. And I've already chatted with him a couple of times in the last 24 hours, and he's watching film. He's all fired up. He's pumped to be on our team. So he's somebody that, I'm excited for everyone to see, but I'm excited to team up with him in 2 weeks. So I'll be seeing a lot of Latrell in the next few years. And I know Nick Washuta, so I'm a big Vermont lacrosse fan. Coach Cav with the Archers is coach at Vermont. He's the best man at my wedding. So I am a big fan of the Cats. They're having a great year so far. They're a ton of fun to watch. Those guys are balling out. It's really it really is awesome. But, you know, over the last few years, I've seen what Washuta is capable of in the cage. And I think, you know, bringing him into camp and having him push Drew and Adam and, you know, kind of seeing where we're at in the goalie position, I think will be fun. You know, I think anytime you have 3 really good goalies, it's a good thing. So bringing him in is great. And Nate is a great player, man. Like, I watched him at Cuse. A couple people that I know have a relationship with him, speak super highly of him. I've been texting with him a little bit earlier today. We're already like making plans to get out on the field. So, you know, nothing but positives. You know, I think this offseason has been a lot of fun and you know, across the board, but for our team in particular. And, you know, we still have a college draft, you know, to add even more guys. So, you know, and with all that, like, you know, pro sports, it's, you know, the fun part is adding these guys. And, you know, the part that's kind of tough is losing a few. So I think, especially being in the PLL and only being around for the last 2 years, like, a lot of that foundation comes from those original players on your team. And whether it's expansion or just making room for new guys, like, that comes at the expense of some guys. And it's a bummer. And I'm just like thankful to really have played with everybody, you know, that I've played with thus far. And that said, you know, there's some new blood on the team, and I think it'll make for a really competitive camp and, you know, a great roster once game time rolls around.
Yeah, we're really excited to see some of that competition in training camp. Looking forward to see some of the content that comes out from that. You mentioned Latrell and the Rock. Let's talk a little bit about the NLL. Unfortunately, the season last year had to get cut short, but we already have a start date for next year in early December. Talk about kind of your excitement to get back on the floor with your guys in the Rock.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we have in Toronto is really special right now. I mean, I think there have been some great offseason moves on that team as well, bringing in Jason Noble, Mitch DeSnoo, guys like that. Like, our offense, like, bringing, you know, I've played kind of a half a season with Dan Dawson, but I'm just really excited about where we're at there. I think it was, you know, certainly understandable that we weren't able to pull it off this year and you know, do a bubble or play. I know there was a couple different scenarios at play, but was bummed for that reason. I think we have a really, really good roster. I think our team has a lot to prove, and, you know, I'm excited to be a part of that. And, you know, personally, you know, my season was kind of like cut a little short and missed a bunch of games. Just coming off the shoulder. So, you know, I'm kind of hungry to get out there. By the time, you know, we, you know, take the floor next, it'll be quite a while since I've last played. So, yeah, I'm just really hungry and really excited for the box game. You know, it's been a while, and I think we got something truly special over there. So, got plenty of work to do over with the Archers, but it'll be nice to transition right into the box world.
You know, we're certainly looking forward to the PLL season and the NLL season coming up this year. I want to look a little farther ahead to the Olympics in 2028. I know that's been a huge goal of yours to be on that team and, you know, compete for the USA. Talk to us a little bit about your goals, you know, in making that team, you know, in a couple of years and, you know, hopefully being one of the first teams to play in the Olympics. Yeah,
I mean, it's certainly a goal of mine, and I'm sure every other player. You know, it's an honor anytime you get to, you know, play for the US. And I think playing at the Olympics, being a part of the Olympics, the pinnacle of athletics, would be really, really special. And, you know, I try not to look too far ahead to anything, but that's certainly, you know, on my radar. I'll be on the back end of my career, but hopefully, you know, the way that game is played, I think it'll lend itself nicely to kind of a box field type of player. You know, and at that point in my career, hopefully, you know, I'm pretty proficient at both and I'm able to bring something to the table. And, you know, I think guys who will be in the running for that are maybe even still in high school. So I try not to look too far ahead, but, you know, I'd be lying if I didn't say that's a long-term goal. And I think it would be really, really special to be a part of it in any capacity. So it's definitely on my radar. Have plenty of work to do in both leagues and internationally prior to that. But, you know, it's definitely on the horizon. It would be really nice to be a part of that. And I don't know, hopefully keep playing, but maybe step away after that. You know, I think I'd be 36. Definitely plan on playing as long as I can. Yeah, I think like another 8 or so years is probably what I'm looking at. And I think it would time up kind of nicely to go out and hopefully do well out there, make the team, be a part of all that stuff, and then step away. So that would be kind of a dream scenario for me.
Yeah, got to get Captain America on Team USA for sure for the Olympic run. We're gonna take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsors, and then we'll dive into our 5 and 5 segment. Today's episode is sponsored by Ducan Supply Co. Ducan is a men's body care brand that features an array of military-inspired products, from their signature big ass bar of soap to their bourbon-infused beard oil. I personally use their big bourbon beard oil that's made with a hint of Buffalo Trace. I like the oak barrel scent that it gives off, and it makes me feel good about my beard, even if it's not as nice as the one that Adam's sporting these days. As an Army reservist, I also love that they donate a portion of their proceeds to U.S. veterans. So go ahead and check out Ducanon, use our code LAX10 to receive 10% off your order, and find your own signature scent. All right, so welcome back. Let's dive into our 5 and 5. You've done this before, Tom. We mixed up the questions a little bit more, but the first one I will start out with you is, what has been your favorite venue to play lacrosse at?
Oh man, that's such a tough one. Yeah, I'll answer a few different, and I'm going to exclude any home stadiums, just because I think that's probably everybody's answer. So in Toronto, for example, I loved playing at home there. I loved playing at home at Princeton and in Ohio and MLL, and so we'll take those out of the equation. I think Saskatoon was very, very cool in the NLL. Just playing up there and seeing how many fans there are. I don't know if it was a sellout the time we played there, but it was pretty special and just an amazing environment and just a place I never ever thought I would ever find myself. I remember flying up there and I was just like, wow, this is never on my radar, and it was an amazing experience. And then I think in college, it was probably Hofstra. It's right by my hometown, and I had a lot of family there, so that definitely contributed. And I've definitely seen more games at that stadium than anywhere else, so that was always special. And then the PLL, there are so many great options there. All those MLS stadiums are incredible. Utah was really fun. I loved San Jose. I'd probably say probably Audi, in Washington, DC. We didn't have a great game there. We lost a heartbreaker to the Redwoods, but that stadium was really, really impressive. And I'm sure somewhere that, we'll find ourselves in the PLL the next few years. So I'm going to go with that one. Sorry if that was way too long-winded. I'm sure it was.
No, I love it. We always get multiple answers, and I'm from the DC area, so Audi Stadium is a good answer in my book. Following up with that, what is your favorite team? Following up with that, what is a team that you're looking forward to face this upcoming season in the PLL? I know you guys, you just mentioned a team in the Redwoods being a tough one that you guys tend to battle with. Is there any team in particular that are really looking to, get some revenge against or beat up on again next summer?
I'm going to go long on this one again. And I'm happy you answered this question, because hopefully it gives me an opportunity to right or wrong. So I've been asked this back in college. I think it was Inside Lacrosse or something. And I dodged the question 5 times. And I was I'm not going to end up on anybody's bulletin board. I'm not going to mention its school's name. And I forget who it was, but they just kept prying. And I ended up saying Dartmouth, because Coach Bates had went there, and I kind of put it in a way that was some extra motivation. It's Coach Bates's alma mater. And, if I had to pick something, I'd go with those guys. And sure enough, we get up there to Dartmouth. Andy Towers, the head coach, the articles posted everywhere, and they beat us. And those guys let me know after the game. I've lost sleep over that. I sent Andy Towers a letter. I don't know if he ever got it, but I looked up his address and was I didn't mean any disrespect. And then sure enough, they took us down, and it was the longest bus ride home of my life. So long-winded way of saying there's no way I'm going to mention a team here. I'm not making that mistake again. And this isn't even a diplomatic answer. It's just every team is so good in this league, especially with the addition of all this talent. And every game is going to be super competitive, super fun. You're never going to be able to be we got this team this week. We should be able to win even if we have a rough day. You're going to have to earn every second of it. And I will mention obviously the Whip Snakes are the 2-time champs. They rolled everybody in the bubble. So, that's everybody's chasing them. So if I had to mention one team, it's those guys, but it's more out of like, they're clearly the best team right now. And that's where we want to be. So I'll go with them.
Yeah, that was probably the best non-answer I've probably ever heard. So I'll give you kudos to that. That works in our book. And then I don't want to put you on the spot again, but this is kind of what this segment does, is one of the toughest players you've had to face during your career. And it can kind of be in the past, or it can be, in the past few seasons as well.
Yeah. Similar, like I'm not trying to end up on anybody's bulletin board for not mentioning them. But I do know like the most like dominated I've ever been in my career was, against Brian Karalunas in college. Like I think he took the ball off me 5 or 6 times, and it was brutal. I broke my ribs. Like it was just like complete, like it was horrible. And then we ended up being teammates in Ohio, and even in practice, I would tell him like, get away from me. Like I don't want like I can't like relive this. So I would say him. I'd also mention that, like, especially now, once again, with all these guys coming in, like, playing against LSMs in the PLL is horrible. Like it's never fun. I think like even the guys that might not have as big of a rep, like, are absolute studs. Like, again, I'm not going to mention every single guy that we play against, but like a guy like John Sexton, like, deserves more love. Like that guy's a stud. Really all over the league. You could go to every team, like those. Every poll you play against is awesome. And it's similar to the last answer. It's like, you can't really, I'm never going into a game being like, okay, nice. Like that's the guy like who's going to be covering me. It's like always like, okay, like this guy's super athletic. He's really big. He throws a lot of checks. Like how can we prepare? And so I going back to your original question, it's Karalunas. But this time in my career, like there's no easy ones. I'll say that for sure.
Always a battle for sure in the PLL. Going off of that, this is a little bit of an easier one, I guess. What was your favorite memory from the PLL bubble last season? And it can kind of be a lighthearted one that didn't happen on the field, or one that was on the field.
I mean, the whole experience was really cool. And I'll say a little bit about that, and hopefully a specific moment kind of comes to me. But, thinking in the grand scheme of things, it was like we were like legitimately quarantined. For months. Like it was like such a unique time for all of humanity, really. And then we have this opportunity to go, play lacrosse with our friends and our teammates, and be out in this beautiful facility out in Utah in the middle of a pandemic. It was just the fact that we were there was incredible. And then I think our team, I think we accomplished a lot. We obviously came up a little short. I think. That crazy play where Grant feeds Ryan against the Chrome was wild. Like it was a crazy game going back and forth with those guys, and to win in such dramatic fashion was definitely cool. But at the end of the day, it really is like it was just pretty awesome to be around your buddies, like doing your favorite thing to do while you've been sitting at home doing nothing for months. So.
No, that's awesome. And then my final one for my lacrosse questions is, what is your current stick setup? Or you might not even have decided yet, but what of the Epoch products are you looking to use this summer?
Oof. I mean, I think, a tough question. So probably a work in progress, because I just haven't had the time to try everything yet. Like I had mentioned before, like Warrior originally was such like a natural fit for me, because I've used those, through high school. I used like different versions of the Evo, depending on how you like to say it. I'm an Evo. Yeah, I say Evo. Cool. Through high school, through college, and then through MLL to the PLL. So it'll be fun to kind of figure out what works. Right now I'm using the Z1. I haven't really changed my setup all that much, but definitely looking forward to like kind of delving into that world a little more. I've always kind of used the same stuff by default, because like I liked it, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I think one of the coolest parts about Epoch is how deep they go into the technology. So on the shaft side, like I'm still learning about like all the different things they can do, and I can't wait to get up there to Minnesota and look at all of the different technology, from like like how the stick kind of bends at a certain angle versus the durability versus the grip versus the different types of molds. Like it's all really interesting, and I'd say it's a work in progress, but thus far it's been really cool, you know, just learning about that stuff and seeing all the different tweaks that can be made. I will say, like, I'm thrilled with the current setup that I have, but I want to try to sample everything in the next few weeks to see, you know, just how far we can push the envelope. So work in progress, but it's off to a great start.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely have that on Lacrosse Playground once you decide what you're using this summer. And we'll definitely have picks and everything, and can tell the younger fans what your stick setup is. But I'll let Adam take away the off the field questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So number one, you know, with sports coming back, maybe you've been able to watch a lot. If not, that's okay. But favorite athlete that's not a lacrosse player to watch right now in the pros, any sport.
I mean, I don't want to say Mahomes, because it's like, but yeah, like he's so fun to watch, and like, I do love football. Like I love the game. It's just fun to, you know, I loved it as a kid. You know, I started playing on a team before I started playing lacrosse, and I do miss it. Yeah, I miss playing. I don't think a comeback is in the cards, so I think I'm probably done playing football. But probably Mahomes. Like he's so good. He can make so many plays. He could, you know, he has like those nice like sidearm releases, which, you know, I'm a fan of. You know, and then like, you know, again, not to be cliche, but like seeing what Brady is doing, you know, with the Bucs is just fun. It was a fun football season, you know, again, considering the pandemic and all that stuff. So I'd probably go with those two, which is like the most boring answer I could give you. And Barzy on the Islanders, like he's just doing some amazing stuff. So, so I'll go with those three.
Number two, this might be a difficult one. Special talent that maybe people don't know you have.
That is a tough one. You know, like my life is like pretty straightforward nowadays. Like, you know, like I like go and like play lacrosse and come home and work out and like hang out with my family and my friends. So, definitely not a talent, but I'll go this route just because Scott Ratliff was making fun of me a little bit. You know, like our group chat, you know, our team group chat, like I'm like, I like rely on gifts a lot. So I would say like, I wouldn't say it's a secret talent, but it's a secret passion that I get a kick out of. Like I'd like finding like that perfect one for each scenario. So I'll go that route. I'm sure something will come to my mind as soon as we hang up here, but I'm going to go with that one.
There we go. That's a good one. That's
the art of the GIF. It's hard. It's not simple.
Well, it's getting harder, you know, just because they're like, everybody's out. You can't just like have like Kyle Harrison is terrible at that. He's not like deep enough into that world. Like if you like go through Kyle's Twitter, like they're all like the most basic GIFs. Like none of them are that clever or anything. And hopefully he hears this and he can get better as a result.
There we go. Number three, last time you were on, we talked about favorite spot to vacation. You mentioned you just moved, so I thought I'd switch it up. If you could live anywhere for maybe a year or longer, where would you move?
Man, you were asking the hard-hitting questions.
Sorry, yeah. Now that we're on level 2 with these 5.
Yeah, seriously. Like these used to be a breeze. Now you're making me think. I don't know if I said this last time, but I went out to Jackson Hole. You know, I guess it was like a year and a half ago, and but I didn't have to worry about anything else, and I'm just there to live. Like that place was pretty special. Just like all the nature and all that stuff, and just kind of the way of life out there was pretty cool. So I'd probably go that direction. You know, or Long Island. Yeah, Long Island's probably up there too. Just I'm catching some flack for moving off the island. So one day I'll be back. Just to appease the locals. I don't want to be a sellout to the island. So I'll mention them too.
Long Island, the Jackson Hole of New York, right?
Exactly. Exactly. That's what they say.
Number 4. We talked about you loving diners. We asked your favorite meal last time, but I thought I'd switch it up, a cliche one. 3 people, if you could eat at a diner with, who would they be?
Oh God.
They don't even have to, if you wanted people you've never met, they could be like famous people or
Albert Einstein could be one, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's why that gets, this is so difficult, because you could go so many different ways. You could go like, you could go historic, you could go like really interesting, you could go for fun. Like there were a couple different directions.
We elevated the 5 and 5 for you this time around.
Oh, it's brutal. I'm like, yeah, the first round, like I just had to kind of dodge your questions. now these are like deeply philosophical. Well, I'll go philosophical first. I love like all the stoicism stuff. Like I read a lot about that stuff, and it seems like Marcus Aurelius would have a lot of interesting things to say.
For sure.
So I guess that's one.
Good choice.
I would say, if I have the ability here to raise the deceased, I would love to sit down and have another breakfast with my grandma, who passed a few years back. So that would be 2. So both pretty serious on those ones. So I'll go, I don't know, I'd probably like find like a comedian or something.
Okay.
But I don't want to say somebody and then like get canceled after the fact if they say the wrong thing. I don't know. I'll pick you guys. You guys count, because you're part of the same podcast. I'm counting you as one person. So
that works.
This disaster of an answer is Marcus Aurelius, you two, and my dead grandma.
That's right.
But that it would be fun.
It would be fun. And
the conversation would be everywhere.
And it'd be fun. And unfortunately, 2 of them can't be there, but we could still make it happen. And that could be the first episode of the podcast. So
there you go. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it all ties together. Good segue back. Way to rein me back in here.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
First question.
Was that number 5, or was there another one?
The next one's easy. The next one's like, just, you can go, what's a TV show you binged over the last couple months? Anything in particular you've enjoyed watching?
The Wire is my favorite show by far. Like I have like a lot to say about The Wire. That could be an episode of one of these podcasts. Like I'm like a huge fan of it. I've like read a bunch of books about it, like audiobooks, all that stuff. I think it's like a flat out masterpiece, and watched it through a couple times, and definitely during quarantine, and tuned back in and watched it with a kind of a close eye.
There we go.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Well, that wraps the 5 and 5, the extremely challenging version of the 5 and 5.
I'm like sweating over here. Like 5 and 5 was brutal today. I'm never coming back on the podcast. I can't imagine.
We'll give you a break. You can come back for season 4. That's a little ways away, and you can have an off season from the podcast.
It'll be a 3 and 3. Like I can't do another 5. No way.
But we are really grateful to have you on again. Really excited about you joining the Epoch team. Really excited about this upcoming PLL and NLL season. And excited to let's shop some ideas for a podcast. If you guys have ideas that are better than my name for Tom and Matt McMahon's potential podcast or show, shoot them at us. Let us know on Twitter, social media, and hopefully you can do better than me. And hopefully I don't get in trouble with Guy Fieri a little bit. But we appreciate you coming on, Tom. Again, best of luck training for this upcoming PLL season and the NLL. And we're really excited to see your journey continue.
Yeah, no, really appreciate it, guys. And we will do it again. Just take it easy on me.
For sure, we will. We promise. All right, well, that's been another episode of Pro Lacrosse Talk. We appreciate Tom coming on, and we hope you guys tune in next time to Pro Lacrosse Talk.